Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my reading table. Today is going to be another episode of Learn to Read Tarot with me, and we are going to be talking about how to read or how I read tarot and oracle cards together. So if you are interested in learning tarot, if you're a beginner to tarot, or if you're more advanced and you just want to look at things a little differently or get a different perspective, then this series is probably going to be for you. I will remind you guys that if you are brand new to tarot, I definitely recommend that you start with my Tarot with Training Wheels full series here on YouTube. It is a really basic kind of beginner's introduction to tarot that will teach you a simple single keyword method to learn all 78 cards of the tarot. It'll give you a great foundational kind of jumping off point. Or if you want to go even deeper than that, I do have a course on my website called Tarot Bootcamp for Beginners, which goes a little bit further in sort of prepping you with those first steps to learning the tarot. So those are the places I recommend that you begin if you're brand new. But today we're going to be talking about ways to sort of practically read combinations of cards. And I've been taking viewer and subscriber requests for this video series. And one of the requests that came through was reading tarot and oracle cards together, which is something I do an awful lot. So I thought this would be a great topic for a video. So today we're going to be working with two decks, the Tarot of Mystical Moments by Katrin Wellstein and the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. So let me give you a little glimpse. Do I have reversals in here? No. I don't want to confuse the issue. Oh, I do have some. Okay, so quick peek at the decks that we're using today. So the Tarot of Mystical Moments is a gorgeous deck by Katrin Wellstein. It has this really cool, dreamy quality to it. I love sinking into this artwork. I find it to be a really intuitive deck, and maybe that's a discussion for another day. I am currently working on a intuitive tarot reading course that I hope to launch this summer. But yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck. And so we're going to be using this as our tarot deck today. This is a tarot deck, just to be clear. And then this oracle deck, these are both decks that are available in the mass market. I will have links to both of them down below. The oracle deck, this is called Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reid. It has a really chunky guidebook. This is a great beginner-friendly oracle deck, in my opinion. Now, my copy is trimmed down. You can kind of see that here by the size of the book versus the cards. I took the borders off of this deck, and then I edged it in these really pretty kind of pastel colors. I feel like the artwork of this one goes really well with the Tarot of Mystical Moments. They both have that kind of dreamy quality. So these are the two that we're going to work with together. So what I want to do to sort of demonstrate my favorite way to read Oracle and Tarot together is I want to sort of talk through my favorite way to read Tarot and Oracle together for myself. And that is my conversational tarot spread. Now, I've talked about this a lot more. At least I think I've done an entire video about it for the Unicorn fam. It could be that it's public on my channel. I honestly can't remember, but I'm going to talk you through that process because it's a very simple spread you can do. All you need for it is one Oracle deck, one Tarot deck. And we're going to build the spread organically. So this is the first spread I want to take us through that'll show you kind of how you can read Tarot and Oracle cards together. So in this method, I'm going to be leaning into the Oracle deck's guidebook, or you can just go off of the message that's on the deck or on the card itself when you draw it. But I think for the purposes of the demonstration, I'm just going to use the guidebook to add a little bit more something to the reading. So this is the kind of thing I would do on a day when I don't have a particular question, but I want a meaningful reading. So I will shuffle my Oracle deck without a question in mind, more thinking something along the lines of, what do I need to work on right now, or what do I need to be aware of right now? That's the kind of thing I might be thinking. But this is pretty open-ended, so you don't need to come at this with a particular question. It's really great for a daily draw. So I give it a nice good shuffle. And I draw a singular card. So let's zoom us in a little bit. So here we have higher power. That's interesting. So I'm glad we're leaning into the guidebook for that particular one. So we have the card higher power. Now, typically what I'll do is if I'm reading for myself, I'll pull the Oracle card. I will look up in the guidebook. And I talked about this actually in a little more depth in the Magical Unicorn video, exclusive video for this month. I actually shared with the Unicorn fam sort of the difference between reading for myself versus reading for others. And one of those distinguishing characteristics is leaning into the guidebook. So these cards are numbered. So I just need to go to card number 4. Boom. So we have higher power. Now, the essential meaning it says here is conscious contact with a higher power, the presence of the divine, seeing source energy in all things, committing to a partnership with spirit. It says this card reminds you that you are more than a person trying to get ahead and make things happen for yourself and others. You have an immortal soul and are gifted with a human life through which a higher power can express itself. At this time, you need to be conscious of your connection to spirit and foster it through prayer and meditation. Ask, what is the highest good for all? How can I serve? Then get out of your own way and trust there's a plan for your life, more wondrous than you can ever know. You're always protected and divinely directed. Now, I understand that not every Oracle deck and every Oracle deck messages are going to resonate with everybody, but for the purpose of the exercise, I'm going to just roll with this. So this is really speaking about recognizing that you could be of service in some way. That's sort of what jumped out at me from that entry. Now, there's more here. You could go into the relationship message or the prosperity message, which is going to be more financial, or the protection message. Any of those you could dive into. It's one of the things I love about this little Oracle guidebook. But for now, I'm just going to take that essential Oracle message and ask the question. So this card is going to become the foundation for my reading. And the question I'm going to now ask based on this is, in what way can I be of service? Perhaps to I could go specific and say, my family, my community, my wife. I could look at it very specifically that way. For this, I'm going to say, how can I be of service to my community? Now, I'm going to zoom us out. I'm going to take my tarot deck and I'm going to draw one card to answer that question. How can I be of service to my community? That's an awkward hand over hand. Let's go sideways. That's better. How can I be of service to my community? Because again, I feel like the Oracle card was asking me that question. How can I be of service to my community? And then I'm going to draw a card, and I have the Hanged Man. Ooh, okay, so let's zoom in. Now, one of my favorite ways to look at the Hanged Man is as a moment of sort of surrender, and interestingly, actually, both of these cards feel a little bit like giving over the service of self for the service of others, but also I feel like both cards have a sort of surrendery kind of energy. And I'm getting this feeling like, so the higher power card was all about like, how can you be of service to others? Recognize that you're more than just you're more than just the sum of your parts. There's something greater maybe working through you. The Hanged Man card to me is about suspension. It's about waiting. It's about perhaps sacrifice, but also it's about, to me, surrendering to the process, not controlling or forcing things. So maybe the feeling I'm getting from this card in answer to the question of how can I be of service to my community, the Hanged Man implies to me that I might need to step back from what serves me in this moment and look at what serves others, which I realize kind of is like bouncing the question forward again. It's almost as though it's not about controlling any outcomes. It's about going with the flow. And I'm just kind of thinking it through, talking it through as we go through it, because that's what I do in this series, is just kind of bring you into my brain while I interpret. So this has left me with not a clear answer yet. I feel like it's just kind of repeated a little bit of what we got from the Oracle card. So then my next question, I would ask a follow-up question, and I would say, okay, what specifically do I need to surrender in order to be of service to my community? What should I give up or sacrifice? What should I let go of? In what way do I need to, what do I need to shed in order to move forward? Because I feel like there's a little bit of that energy coming through. Or maybe what do I need to let go of control of? Because I feel like the Hanged Man is about suspension and surrender. Where do I need to let go of control to better serve my community? So now I'm honing the question to something a little more specific as we go through. So where do I need to let go of control in order to be of service to my community? Where do I need to let go of control in order to be of service to my community? The Seven of Cups. Okay, that's pretty hilarious. Okay, so the Seven of Cups comes out. Now, in this card, we see somebody here who is like sort of looking at all these stars and trying to figure out which one she's going to pick. Essentially, there's an element of choosing in the Seven of Cups, of daydreaming and considering possibilities. But I feel like the thing that I need to let go of control of is the outcome, because there's a lot here about going with the flow, allowing. I mean, all three cards to me are about not gripping, not holding on too tight. And I feel like when I ask the more specific question, what do I need to let go of or not control in order to be of service to my community, I get a card all about indecision. Like, to me, the Seven of Cups is often about sort of not getting your head out of the clouds. Let me back up. It's about getting your head out of the clouds and not doing the whole grass is greener on the other side thing. There's almost like an acceptance of the current moment, sinking into it and being present. Now, I feel like this went into all kinds of woo places. So I want to do another one of these with a different set of cards and a different question. But I hope that gives you an idea of kind of how this kind of conversational spread where you work with Oracle and Tarot can go. So let me just give us another shuffle. And let's start from scratch and see what we get. Maybe this time I won't reach into the guidebook. We'll see what the card is, and then we'll go from there. So now I have building blocks. Perfect. So I look at this card and I see somebody who is on top of a stack of blocks, almost as though this character is made up of those blocks. So building blocks. I feel like there's something in progress, something that's being built. So I might ask, what is it that I'm building right now? What am I building right now? What am I building right now? And I get the Ace of Wands. Ooh, interesting. So the Ace of Wands to me is about new inspirations. It's about passion. Am I building passion for maybe a new project, a new creative project? Do I have a creative idea? That's sort of where I'm going from there. So maybe I go now from this idea of building blocks. I've asked, what am I building? And I get the Ace of Wands. Ooh, something new, something exciting, something I'm going to be passionate about. What should I focus on to nurture this new insight? Would be my follow-up question. And I get another 7, the 7 of Pentacles, which is about assessing what's already been built, assessing what the established structures are, looking at where maybe some changes or tweaks might need to be made. So some fine tuning may be in order, but fine tuning of what? I'm still deciding. Let's get this into more practical terms here. So I'm going to stop just doing this kind of free flow daily draw kind of concept, but I hope you get the idea that that's one way you can work with Tarot and Oracle. Let me show you another way I like to work with Tarot and Oracle, and that's specifically in pairs. So let me zoom out here. So let's go back to a spread we did in a previous episode, the energy obstacle advice spread. Only this time we're going to work in pairs. We're going to look at what is the energy of the day, the obstacle, and the advice. What is my energy, obstacle, advice? This is a good general reading. It's my favorite. You guys have heard me talk about it a bunch before. Energy, obstacle, advice. So I'm going to pull 3 tarot cards, and I'm going to put them face down for now. Energy, obstacle, and advice. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the oracle cards. Okay, what is my energy, obstacle, and advice? Energy, obstacle, advice. Okay, so now we're going to look at these, and I'm going to keep them face down since I am working in pairs just to prevent overwhelm on the table. I'm going to pull over the first pair. Okay, so I had the 7 of Pentacles again. So here we have for the energy, the 7 of Pentacles with the oracle card poised. Let me zoom you in a little so you can see these better. So we have the 7 of Pentacles with poised. Now the 7 of Pentacles is the card where I often see that we're looking back on kind of what we've done. We're sort of waiting to see how things are going to turn out. There's a little bit of patience required in the 7 of Pentacles. There's a little bit of waiting to see. We've already put things into motion. We've already done some work, and kind of like if you've planted something and you've watered it and you fertilized it, now you're just waiting to see what exactly is your harvest going to be, how big and juicy are your apples going to be in your apple tree, that sort of thing, right? And then the poised card to me is about staying centered. Like here's this character on top of this pillar, and I'm looking at this as staying centered and staying focused while in this place of assessment. So if I was reading this energetically, I'd say, okay, right now I'm in the energy of sort of waiting to see how things are going to turn out. And it's important for me in that moment to sort of stay centered and really be present in that moment. But there's a certain focus to me in this combination of cards. So what I'm going to do is just place them, let's see if I can zoom out just a little bit, place them like that so we can still kind of see what's happening here. So next we have our obstacle. So here I have the Ace of Pentacles with the Fates. Now this is a really interesting combination because the Ace of Pentacles to me is about like new opportunities or things coming your way often. And then the Fates to me speaks of luck and of a turn of fortune, which is really interesting when these two are together. It kind of makes me wonder, especially in the obstacle position, how could a new opportunity, particularly one that makes one feel like they're being blessed or like maybe luck's turning their way, how could that be an obstacle? And I realize what it is for me, particularly. It's very easy for me to be pulled off course, particularly when I'm in a position of waiting to see how things are going to pan out. Very easy for me to get pulled off course when something new and shiny and potentially good to now work on comes in front of me. This has happened to me many a time when I'm working on a big project, for example, and I'm like kind of in the final stages of it, kind of waiting to see how it's all going to turn out. And it's really easy for me to get knocked off my center, to stop maybe being in that place of poise and confidence and stillness while I wait. And suddenly it's like, ooh, shiny, let's go chase the new shiny. So in this case, I feel like that is the obstacle. This new opportunity could actually come and upset the balance and the poise in the waiting and the assessing of the work that I've already done. So in this situation, then, what is the obstacle? And we have the chariot, or excuse me, the advice, not obstacle. We have the chariot, and then we have round and round as our oracle cards. So reading these as a pair, the chariot is about forward focus, drive, keeping your eyes on the prize, right? Really moving in the direction that you want to go. And round to me is about repetition, cycles. It's interesting to me that I'm getting two messages of advice from this combination of cards. One, my advice is definitely to stay focused, to not get distracted by the ooh shiny, which presented an obstacle here, but to stay focused, to really keep your eyes forward and on the destination you're trying to go, and to be aware that things like this opportunity will come around again. There's a cycle to fate and to fortune and to opportunity, and if this isn't the right time for this one, another one is coming in the future. I don't have to do this whole use it or lose it mentality where if I don't jump on this idea or this opportunity right away, that everything's over forever and ever. Like, it's not like that. So I can stay focused on continuing to put one foot in front of the other with the seeds that I've already planted and the things I'm already nurturing. And so if you see kind of what I did there, I worked with each set of cards and read them together. So I read each pairing as a combination. And that's another really great way that you can work with tarot and oracle together. So let's try another method of combining tarot and oracle and getting a cohesive message. So another way we can use tarot and oracle together is when we're using oracle cards as a clarifier. So what we do with that situation sometimes is that we'll do a simple tarot reading, and in the process, maybe we want a little bit of further information, and we want something that we feel like an oracle deck can help add to the message. And we kind of did that just now in a way by combining them, but we're going to get more specific. So let's see, let's say we have our pretend querent. Who are we going to have this time? Let's have Tamika. So Tamika has asked me, let's say in this pretend situation, Tamika has said, look, I really want to know, I want to do a little checkup on the energy in my relationship. Can you tell me what I need to know about the energy in my relationship? And I go, sure. Yeah, no problem. So I'm just going to pull a card for Tamika and Tamika's partner. Okay, so if I'm looking at just these two cards, let's zoom us in. We have the Eight of Pentacles. And I feel like from Tamika's perspective in the relationship, things are stable. They're really solid. The Eight of Pentacles to me is a card of things are well established. They're good. They're solid. They can be a little bit in the routine kind of category where things are, we're just kind of continuing to do the same thing over and over again, but there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. We're kind of refining. If we're making changes, we're making them in small ways. So to me, in the Eight of Pentacles, from Tamika's perspective, the relationship is good. It's on solid foundation, and any changes are small, fine-tuning kind of adjustments. So from Tamika's perspective, things are actually pretty good. From Tamika's partner's perspective, however, we have the Four of Cups, and the Four of Cups shows this character who is being sheltered by this umbrella, can't tell, is in the middle of rain, is just feeling sorry for themselves in a way, or is feeling somehow a little bit morose. The Four of Cups is another number of stability. In the Four, we do have stability, so the relationship, even from Tamika's partner's perspective, is still stable, but there's this feeling of melancholy or of perhaps maybe feeling a little bit of malaise or of, I don't want to say boredom, because I don't think that's quite it. I think it's more like maybe taking things for granted, maybe not quite seeing the forest for the trees. Maybe things seem not as good as they could be. And so here I feel like both Malika and her partner, while they're both facing the same direction, this is something that I'm looking at these images, they're both facing in the same direction. So they're probably more or less on the same page, but they're having slightly different experiences within their relationship. So I could stop here with the reading. Or I could decide, you know what, this really gave us a good feeling for where both, I think I said Malika, but where Tamika and her partner are in their relationship, like kind of energetically what's happening. So I'm going to separate these cards, and I'm going to draw an oracle card to clarify and go, okay, now what's the energy that connects them to one another? Like, what's between them? What harmonizes them? What could harmonize them? So what is currently and or could harmonize them? So what's the energy between? And so I can sort of shift the reading at the last moment based on how I feel about these cards, and I can add a clarifier. Now to me, a clarifier means that I'm not planning to use this card. It's here because I feel like I need something more, something to harmonize the message, something to add a little something to, sometimes I feel like I want an oracle card as a clarifier when I feel like I want to neaten the reading up. Like there's something that feels slightly unfinished, or I feel like it needs a little bit of a, you know, when you tie a bow on a present, sometimes that's what a clarifier does for me. So in this case, I feel like I've given a reading. I'm like, okay, this is where things are at, but it feels unfinished. It feels like there's not anything actionable here. I want a little more. So I'm looking for how to harmonize the two of them, how to get them on the same page more specifically. What do they need to know? What do they need to work on? What do they need to look at? That kind of thing. So I'm thinking something actionable here is what I want. So I'm going to pull the card, and I get Unfinished Symphony. Okay, so that's beautiful. Now, again, I'm just going to read this intuitively for the sake of the exercise. To me, an unfinished symphony is like a long piece of work that still needs some more work. So in order for Tamika and her partner to harmonize their relationship, in order for them to both feel more contentment, because to a certain degree, they're both kind of going through the motions. Tamika's more content in going through the motions, perhaps, than her partner is, but they're both kind of going through the motions. But the unfinished symphony, that's like a life's work. That's like a recognition that there's something about their life's work that is not quite finished, that they need to come together and really work on together. So maybe instead of thinking about each of them for themselves within the relationship, what would help them in this case is to look at what they can build together, what they can finish together. Were they doing some things, working towards something together? Like, in other words, instead of each of them against each other or trying to find a way to harmonize with each other, it's like they both need to come together to work on something together. This can be something as little and light and fluffy as literally like, let's do a home project. Let's do a puzzle together. It can be super simple, or it can be something much more meaningful and say, let's come together and have a conversation about how we can feel more fulfilled in our relationship. Let's initiate that, because our relationship is an unfinished symphony and there's more we can do here. And so by doing that process of pulling the clarifier, I felt like I was able to give not just a status update, but a status update and then where to go from here. Now, you could, of course, build all of that in with a spread, or you could pull a tarot card to do the exact same thing. But I find that sometimes an oracle card will bring a different perspective and will help you as the reader, whether you're reading for yourself or for somebody else, to kind of get that extra element to kind of weave everything together and give you a different perspective. So that's another way that I like to use tarot and oracle together. Really, at the end of the day, the sky is the limit on how you weave decks together. But I think for me, when I'm reading for myself, my favorite way is that first way, where I pull an oracle card for my message of the day, and then I use that oracle card to ask a question that I then ask of a tarot card. And then I'll interpret. I keep pulling the same cards because I just put them on top. I'll interpret that tarot card. Oh, there's another one I already had. I'll interpret that tarot card. And then, based on the interpretation of that tarot card, I'll ask a follow-up question. And that's my daily reading. And that's my favorite way to use tarot and oracle together. And these two decks really, really work beautifully together. They look beautiful together, because to me, they have kind of a similar art style. They're both kind of that sort of digital collage. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why you see so many of us getting passionate about oracle and tarot pairings, because when you find decks that harmonize with one another, then it's a little easier. It feels more like you're working with a unified tool as opposed to just two random things that happen to be available. Now, with that said, I certainly have my favorite oracle decks that I feel like can pair with just about everything. But then there's certain decks like this one where I feel like it needs a certain energy next to it to kind of stand beside it, because it has such a ethereal kind of energy, and I feel like sometimes it's helpful to have something that sort of speaks its speak next to it. I don't know if this has been helpful. Please let me know down below. Really what I want to do with this series is just not pre-plan a whole lot, but just kind of give you my off-the-cuff thoughts, off-the-cuff interpretations. I don't want to pre-plan sample readings and like make it too cerebral. I kind of want it to be organic. That's kind of my goal for this. So I hope that this gave you something to think about as far as how you can work with the two systems together. There are many, many more ways than this, and I would definitely encourage those of you who do work with tarot and oracle already together to share some of your favorite ways to use them together in the comments down below so that people finding this video can find your tips and tricks and the things that have worked for you as well as mine, because that's how we continue the conversation, and I think that's super freaking cool about this series. If you are enjoying the more educational content on my channel, just be aware that there is more to come. I am hoping to do another Troubleshooting the Tarot live soon, so look for that in the next couple of weeks here on the channel. And as always, thank you so, so much for hanging out with me here. I hope to continue these conversations so that we can sort of help each other to develop a relationship with our tarot cards, with our oracle cards that feel really nourishing, that make us feel like we know what we're doing so that we can get the most out of our practices. That's what I want for everybody, is to feel like, is to demystify it, I guess, a little bit so that you can see that it's just about building a relationship yourself with your tools. Thank you all so, so much again for hanging out. Please do comment below. Let me know what you thought. Help other people with your tips, or give your feedback on these particular tips that I did share. As always, do remember to click the like button if you enjoyed the video or you found value in it. Subscribe if you want more content like this. I make a lot of tarot related content, and I'd love to have you be part of our crew here. As always, don't forget that I also have a Unicorn Fam channel membership for even more content from me, so you can check that out in the join link down below. And as always, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.